I invite Bertrand to take over the presentation and share his slides and take the floor as well. So present us the semantic text analysis tool. Bertrand?
Thank you very much, Sophia. Very nice introduction made by Isa and the poll made by Cecile creates a lot of expectations. So no, I hope at least I will not disappoint disappoint them. Indeed, it's a very interesting topic, and the discipline I come from, which is text mining, so natural language processing, has probably a lot to do. This is something that together with the team in Digit who animates this community, we are quite convinced of since already a couple of years, and I'm so happy that this event takes place also because it's important to reach outside the EU bubble, and there's so much to do in this field for the European Union. Yes, thank you, Sophia, for the acronyms disambiguation. I will try to avoid that. So without further introduction, I will jump into my slides. So let me share my screen and let me ask you
Yes, we
if
see
you
it.
see my
You
slides.
can go to
Very good.
presentation mode, maybe.
Exactly. That's perfect. Okay. So basically, what we try to address with the semantic text analyzer is the well-known problem of information overabundance, right? I really like that quote from the futurologist John Nesbitt, who says, "We are drowning in information, but start from knowledge." So I know knowledge is a fussy term, but I think you all know what we mean when we say that we have too much to read and not enough to know, basically. Um, so there's an opportunity there for AI, for text mining, for technology, let's say, to keep to stay away from buzzwords. Uh, and this opportunity, we saw it with the SeTA project, very specifically on what is called semantic analysis. So my goal here is not to do an academic course about what is semantic analysis, but make you understand a bit the mindset in which we approached legislation from a text mining point of view. And the idea is that a word, a concept, a term, a keyword, or you name it, is often accompanied by other terms, by other concepts that are close to it. So you should know a word by the company it keeps. I like to give very trivial but powerful examples. If you look statistically at a large amount of texts, you will more often find cow and milk together than cow and helicopters, right? This is because there is a semantic link. You can feel it, right? But okay, just measuring how words are co-occurring in large amounts of text is nice, but why is it useful? Well, because the context of the words gives also a lot of meaning. Look at the example on the slides, right? You probably don't know what Tesguino is. I don't know still, but reading these four sentences, I have a pretty accurate picture of what it can be. I'm not sure it's an alcohol or a beer or whatever, but at least I have a very good understanding that is maybe much more powerful than if I had read the definition in a dictionary, right? So what we did is to apply the semantic text analysis principles to legislation, and I would say policy in the broader term. Um, we ingested 500,000 documents, most obviously Eurolex, but also all what we call the bookshop, which is all the policy papers that are published by the Office of Publications. Um, and we also ingested documents that we thought were relevant for better understanding policy. Because we are a scientific advice, a science for policy organization, we ingested our own publication, which we call PubC. It's our IT system for publications, um, but also the scientific publications from the research community that is funded by the European Commission, and this is CORDIS database for those who know it. Also, open data portal run by the Office of Publication conveys a lot of information about the data available, the metadata that are on this portal have been also ingested to give a more comprehensive picture. And well, what we did is what I just explained. So we had a massive processing chain that basically was able to extract terms into these documents and to measure the distance between each other. When you have the distance between a lot of points, that gives you a map, right? So what we call concepts here, it's important. You have an example on the slide about strategic autonomy. Um, are either single words um, or very often multi-words. This is something that we saw is very special to legislation and policy analysis. Right? We tend, and you know the curse of Euro jargon, we tend to use what is called phrasal expressions in English. So multi-word expressions that have a completely different meaning than the single words, right? So a forest fire is something different than a fire in a forest, right? Uh, this is why there is also a bit of let's say algorithm and technology behind to try to extract these concepts. So that's why I'm referring to concepts. Um, so in the example here, you can see that basically it helps you understanding the same way as I understood what Desguino is. It helps me understanding what the strategic autonomy policy is about, and it's not in the way expressed by one policy paper or one press release from a commissioner, but really about reading virtually an awful lot of text referring to strategic autonomy and understand what are the concepts that usually go with it, like the cow and the milk. And it's interesting because at least it helps it helped me to understand what are my biases and what's the wider picture, right? I'm a technologist. So for me, strategic autonomy was all about, the GAFAs and they cannot, make the rules. We need to be able to be, autonomous from the GAFAs from a strategic point of view. This was my own definition, right? And then I realized, thanks to SeTA, that there's much more into this. So there's a trade um, dimension of it. You need to be competitive on the global markets to be strategically autonomous. There is a defense one. Let's not forget it. I mean, nuclear warheads help you to be autonomous in your decisions, apparently. And there's of course the more softer diplomatic dimension of it. So the leadership notion is very important to strategic autonomy, apparently. All right. So you see what I mean by knowledge. There's very little explanation I gave you. I'm not an expert on strategic autonomy at all, but I dare to say that I got knowledge of it thanks to SeTA, right? So um, I'll uh, I'll do the demo maybe before talking about the next steps. So let me change. It breaks a bit the sequence, but I think a live demo is always more pleasant, right? Um, Before I go to the demo, and maybe I will show her the enthusiasm of many participants. This tool is internal, commission internal for the moment. So we are pretty eager to see what futures it can bring, and that's why we are so happy to engage with this community, because we think indeed that this approaches, we are not the only ones to have them. We are a research organization, so we want to reach out with others and not stay in our ivory tower. This being said, just for very trivial, pragmatic reasons, like we don't have servers and help desks and all these things, we cannot just share it right now. So although the URL you can see if you if you're let's say spooky, you can take note of it. It will not work if you are outside the commission network. So just to mention that. Um, all right. So the tool itself is just the tip of the iceberg. As you have understood, there is a processing chain, a big data processing chain. There is a large repository of texts, and there are algorithms that do all the magic I'm about to show. But this tip of the iceberg shows very well in action the principle I've just explained. So, okay, there's a welcome page where basically the narrative I just gave you is being explained briefly, and there's a link to a more scientific report for those interested in the slides. There is also, and the report is publicly available. So for those interested, it's possible to follow this. Um, then the first, I would say, use case here is a search one. So we were mentioning earlier, and I think that the access to the information, the knowledge retrieval function of a system is very important. We tend to forget that because there's Google, indeed, there is still a need for specialized retrieval. So that's why this function is there, and of course we don't intend to duplicate URLs here. We are in close cooperation with the Office of Publication, and it can be that one day this functionality, this approach is made available through URLs as well. So if I get back to my strategic autonomy, because that's what is in the cache of my browser, you can see that here I use the knowledge map in another way, which I think is very useful, and we have many examples on how useful it is, which is when I take a search term. So I tell SeTA, okay, I'm looking for documents about strategic autonomy. Okay, it understands that I might be interested by broader or narrower topic of it, right? So, well, strategic autonomic is very interesting, but I work for let's say indeed the trade department in my organization. So let's just stick to future competitiveness and even growth, economic development, this kind of thing. All right, recovery. Okay, so you see that um, the tool helps you to, let's say, somehow drift away in a nicely way from your initial somehow narrow query, and suggest you to look at it at a wider way. So that's maybe very different from what you can get from a Google search, because search engines like Google try to get exactly what you need. Of course, you can also get exactly what you need with SeTA. For example, you can say I want only legislation in force or directives and so on and so forth, and use the power of Eurovoc thesaurus, so the librarian augmented knowledge that is there and that is extremely valuable. So okay, you get a search result. Again, something that is probably very special here is that you can also search by similarity of the document. So let's say, that's interesting, the 2008 economic recovery plan. This is kind of old story getting back very powerfully this time, and hopefully in a better way. So if I click on this button here, you can see that the results change, because basically it's the same documents that I had before, You need to trust me because I didn't show you that they were already 2,300 more or less. But it's the same result, but no, they are sorted by similarity with this very document that is here pinned on the top. So I stopped there for the information retrieval. There's a lot of possibilities, including the capability to screen very quickly where these concepts are listed in the document's full text. So you can see the text snippets here, um, which is a helpful tool. So we didn't develop that just because it's potentially nice and interesting, but we developed that together with our friends from the IT department, so Digit of the Commission, and the Secretariat General, which is leading the efforts on better regulation. So the idea here is to have a tool that allows you to screen policy with a given let's say purpose in mind, like for example identifying obsolete legislation or legislation that is relevant to interoperability, for example. So this is a bit where we are. I mean, it's an advanced prototype, but it works. Of course, that's the beauty of it. And then second, I would say, core use case of SeTA that is developed in the interface is the one of concepts browsing. So this time we revert the logic. We're not interested into document. Well, we are indirectly interested into document, but we look at concepts and at this knowledge map that I have shown before. So exactly as I did for strategic autonomy, I might be interesting to look at, let's say, horizontal policy fields like consumers protection, for example. And again, there I like the, the advertisement that was done at some point for this functionality. It's about bursting your knowledge bubble, right? So, for example, SeTA tells me that consumer protection has a lot to do with product safety, and that I could understood. No, I mean, when you buy a toy, you don't want your toddler to swallow small pieces and go to the hospital, right? But there's also an environmental protection one, which is also intuitively I can understand that. I mean, you don't want that the painting of your toy is also poisoning in a more let's say insidious way. Um, and then you have the legal protection, and I think somewhere probably I will find indirectly some links to privacy, if I dig down into this graph, right? Because of course I can navigate from close to close and get in a place that I was not foreseeing being. So I mean, these kind of graphs are very I would say entertaining to play with. Sometimes a bit tricky when the graph gets very busy, but you see, I hope it conveys the right message. No, that it's interesting, it's stimulating even to look at things in a different way that we are used to, right? So we're used to comb through lists of documents and search engine results that are ordered by an algorithm that we don't know about much, but we trust it works, and of course it very often does. But here we have another way to navigate the information. Um,
Bertrand, sorry, it's
yeah,
Sophia. Just please go ahead because we would like to also get some feedback from our
sure,
listeners.
sure.
So
I'm
please.
I'm 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 almost there. Those scientists, when they talk about their topic, they cannot stop. Huh? So yeah, just to say that we have also the possibility. It's another way to navigate the information, to look at how a term, a concept, is being picked up in the legislation over time. And you see, for example, here that for consumer protection, for some reason, there was a kind of golden age in the 90s, and then it increases, but as all legislation increases. So that makes it for the demo, and that makes it for my speech basically. So
Okay.
thank you for your patience.
Oh no, it's very. I think the people in the call would really like to have you extensively demo everything, but we would like to. It was sufficiently or sufficient glimpse for them to react, and then to react. So first to say whether in this current version that they have seen, whether it would help them into your work. So can you please? So I see a yes. Yes, three, two, three, two yeses. So a bit more, maybe. Okay. And Sophia put in the chat which Menti code you should type in order to answer. So the yes is really, I see no, so it is, one no, okay. So it's, you see, so already maybe it will change, but Bertrand, you have potential more customers. Huh?
Okay, at least I didn't disappointed the very nice
No.
expectations that were created.
Okay,
It's good.
so you can continue, but we will go to the move to the next one, as we would like to also to have some discussions. So would you have ideas for the improvement of the existing features or additional functionalities of SeTA? So, okay, Georgios would like to speak. So maybe, so for, so if, Georgios, please, the floor is yours.
Hello, I just want to ask, how is it possible to use it from a user perspective? And
So
is there a commercialization plan or?
not at all. So for now, it's internal to the Commission. Sorry, Bertrand, please go on.
No, no,
You want
no,
me?
no problem. We're in this together. No. As a joint research center, we're part of the European Commission, and our mandate is to help our colleagues in the European Commission with text mining, as far as my team is concerned. So we're not a business. We're not in the business, and we don't. We don't intend to make money out of that. But this is, I mean, this has been paid by the taxpayer. So we definitely are open. I mean, we are obliged, but we are happy to share what we do with the public. The question we have, and this is intense discussion with Sophia, Cecile, and the colleagues, is how we can make it happen. Because as I said, simply as a research organization, we are not geared to maintain a tool that works well for the public. This is where we are. So there will be a way where we give it back to the public in Europe, but we don't know yet how. And I think this is why it is really relevant to engage with this community, because maybe the future of SeTA outside the Commission walls is getting getting to be defined by this community, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So thanks for this answer. We had also in a very early, you were mentioning narrow concepts or broadened concepts, and it was Eugene who in the chat asked whether you, how do you make this different, or how does the tool make the differentiation between broader and narrower concepts, or is it included into the algorithm or not? So I think it's a nice question. Bertrand?
Yes. You mean the question that is in the chat, or
Yeah,
what
so
was
it
the?
was about
Yeah,
the
yeah,
difference between whether SeTA makes the difference between broader or narrower concepts.
yeah. No, there's no. I mean, there's no ontology as such in SeTA, but it's there is a high complementarity with the ontology approach to semantic search. Very briefly, I explain. So the graph model you have seen has its value because it's flat, because it's really based on co-occurrence, and it's also what to answer what is in the chat. But the idea, and I see my colleague Vidas reacting in the chat, very good, is that the what we would like to do is to use ontologies, your ontologies, as a way to search or to organize the knowledge you extract from SeTA. This is a very, very powerful research direction we want to take, or even to take SeTA keywords to build your own ontologies. That we do very often, and it's very useful for a subject matter expert who knows, okay, I'm working on interoperability or on strategic autonomy. I've given that example. And then SeTA suggests you always richer sets of keywords, but you decide if it's narrower or you decide the relations. So think about cow and milk again. SeTA doesn't tell you what's the link between cow and milk. They say they are linked.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think it's a nice answer. We still have 1 minute before we have to give the floor to Yanis. So maybe we can go a bit to the replies in the Menti.
Sorry, I also saw a
Yes.
question from Joseph. Does the algorithm measure quantitative qualities like occurrence or proximity, and does it learn from search results? This was a question in the chat.
Yes, and it has been partially addressed already in the chat.
Partially.
I really
Okay.
like this kind of interactions. So indeed, the algorithm measures context similarity, as Vida said, and it doesn't learn from the search results from now. We are, more generally speaking, very curious about feedback loops in machine learning. Because we do a lot of information extraction for real life users, so we are rich of this kind of information, but by lack of time and focus, we don't work on user feedback in machine learning right now.